Welcome in to another episode of Betting the Pitch. I'm your host, the real _ G Warner, and this is match day 4. And I keep forgetting to change it in the title. Jesus. Well, sorry to already take the Lord's name in vain. It is Friday morning here in Dallas, Texas. Thank you all for listening. You probably won't see the name being wrong anywhere but Twitter, but thank you for, I guess, dealing with me on an early Friday morning. With that said, today we're going to go through each of the top 5 European soccer leagues, going to go through each match on the calendar, on the fixture list, and try to give a lean for each of them. I'm an underdog player, so don't expect any favorites, but I am going to try to do a little bit better job of tipping to underdogs that I have no interest in playing, which might make you want to lean a favorite, as some of my friends do. Besides that, I plan to have a best bet for each of the leagues that we go through, and then an overall ultimate best bet. No one that I have seen have come up with an idea of what exactly to call it. So I'm going ultimate best bet, which I believe I'm 2-1 on the season now. Probably should have reviewed that before the podcast. Apologies that I didn't. But without further ado, we'll go, because it's more about the content here. We go through starting in England, which starts on Saturday with matches, and the first on the list is Southampton hosting Manchester United. So I'm not a believer in Manchester United. Great performance, big surprise. I told my co-host on the pregame.com podcast network, Mackenzie Rivers, not to go with Manchester United as his best bet last weekend. Still undefeated, by the way, the entire show undefeated on our best bets on that one. But I've been doing a little bit different here because trying to cover the other leagues and not give the same pick out for every podcast. But anyway, not a believer in Manchester United, despite what they showed, beating what might be a really injured and slow starting, potentially moving on from Sadio Mane into Darwin Nunez and then losing him to a red card might put Liverpool in a little bit different of a position than what we all thought would be contending for a title. So Southampton currently are getting 3/4 of a goal from Manchester United, and I lean to them. They had a good comeback win at Leicester last weekend. Not really something you probably expect, and certainly the defense will be better for Manchester United, even though they have plenty of flaws there. I feel like it's a huge overreaction to Manchester United's dominant effort at home against Liverpool, which wasn't that dominant if you think about it, if you look at the numbers possession-wise and things of that nature. Liverpool dominated the ball. I don't expect Southampton to do that, and that's ultimately what leaves Manchester United open for counterattacks. So, and that's something they really need to score goals. The line currently requires a 2-goal win to take my full unit or full risk. I think from where I sit, Southampton, they definitely have problems, but I think at home they're going to have a huge boost from their crowd. This line, you never know, because Manchester United, everyone's all in all of a sudden after wanting to fade them until they died last week before Monday's match. I'm very interested to see if Southampton do climb to a 1-goal underdog. I don't think that will happen, but certainly we'll be waiting for it. And the early match on Saturday, I definitely lean the home dog and expect them to make my cart. Next, we'll go Liverpool, -2.5 goals at home against Bournemouth. And they've had an awful start to the season. No way to really shape it. They're, I think, the new problem panic club in England after Manchester United somehow cured their ills and no longer sit bottom of the table. Bournemouth are a perfect landing spot or visiting team to get right against. They look like they are not going to even compete at this level, despite somehow beating Aston Villa in the opener. I guess early goals do change matches, as they say. Just goals change matches in general. But Liverpool need to win by 3 goals to cover the spread here. Where are those goals going to come from? Because Darwin Nunez is still suspended. Mohamed Salah seems to be alone on an island, and I don't really know what to expect from him besides what he'll give, which is a lot of opportunities that he'll convert a high rate of them, but how many is he going to get? Bournemouth are going to sit in as deep as they can. Liverpool have struggled with trying to break down low-lying defenses for a long time now. And so I don't know that's necessarily something that we can expect them to do efficiently, especially with all the pressure, considering how poorly the season has gone for them so far. From where I sit, is Bournemouth or nothing as an underdog player, of course. And currently at even money, this might even climb to 2 3/4. And who knows if the number keeps climbing at 3. I don't know how I'm going to avoid Bournemouth. I hope it doesn't get there. They want to play counterattacking football. It worked for them at the championship level. I think that sets them to really know what they're doing in this one. And I got to say, it's kind of a show me story for Liverpool. So I lean to Bournemouth at +2.5. Next, we move Manchester City and a 2-goal favorite at home against Crystal Palace. Man City they're really scary, but ultimately gave up 3 goals. I think all three assisted by Alisson Maximin last weekend at Newcastle, and didn't really expect to see that coming. They clearly can score a ton of goals, which makes a -2 seems much smaller than it actually is. But Crystal Palace have been playing pretty well under Patrick Vieira, had really good success with Man City last season. I think 1-1 and drew the other meeting, which is pretty incredible / very surprising based on the two teams. I think Crystal Palace are stronger than they were last year. Manchester City are certainly stronger in the striker position because they didn't really play with one last year, and Erling Haaland is a dominant beast. But Crystal Palace really showed exactly what they're going to do, showed their hand with how they played Liverpool. I don't want to exactly claim that Liverpool is as easy an offense to defend as Manchester City is, because Manchester City is much more difficult. But Crystal Palace are going to sit in. They're going to leave Wilfried Zaha up the pitch as the striker, even though he's usually a winger, to really use his pace and try to run at the Man City defense. Get plenty of questions about Ake's health. John Stones, I don't know if he seems to be now second choice there, but Ruben Diaz, they also played a weird friendly midweek at Barcelona. Really kind of bizarre why that all happened, but I think from where I sit, Crystal Palace getting 2 goals is a lot to look at. I mean, certainly the numbers can get out of hand at the Etihad, but from where I sit, I think Crystal Palace +2 is worth a look, especially considering their success last year and the fact that they've improved a lot, and their younger players are getting older, and that's a big important part. Next, we move Brentford hosting Everton. Brentford a 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Maybe this is climbing to a 1/2 goal favorite. Everton really don't look like they have any goal scoring. Came from behind to get a draw from Nottingham Forest, newly promoted, at home last weekend. A lot of that because of a goalkeeper assist. Pretty incredible pass from Jordan Pickford. But that kind of speaks to where the Everton offense is right now, which is nowhere. And so that makes it really hard to back them even on the road, and likely getting a 1/2 goal from a side that doesn't really wow you offensively. And I gotta say, Brentford's defense has not looked the same either so far this year. They are off to a great start, racking up a ton of points, so can't argue with that. Everton are nothing for me, but I think it's hard to really expect them to score, and I don't trust their defense at all to keep a clean sheet, so I will move on past that one. Brighton then hosting Leeds, currently a 1/2 goal favorite. With all the juice right now. Both these teams have played really well to start the year. Both have looked great. I think from where I sit, it's really hard to know what to expect from both of these teams. But I think in terms of goal scoring, but they've done it so far this year. Whether that's something that they can really keep up, I'm not sure. I like Leeds here because I like them getting a draw on the road, winning a full bet for me. But from where I sit right now, I'm not really sure that I want to step in the way of the Brighton train. They're gonna have a ton of possession. Graham Potter has proven that he can use possession to defend or to hide his defense almost by having the ball a lot. Leeds are going to expose themselves. That's what they do. I don't know. I mean, I was thinking of an exposure joke to make, but probably better not to. So I'll just move on. I think 2 good teams, and I think this is one I'm eager to watch. Chelsea then hosts Leicester in a battle of teams that, I mean, really hard to say what they're doing with their transfer processes. And I mean, we all thought that Wesley Fofana was going to be at Chelsea by now. It hasn't happened yet, but I feel like it might after this match. Chelsea 1 1/4 goal favorite at home. No idea how to trust that offense, especially after the shellacking they took from Leeds, which is very surprising, but showed that they're a little bit vulnerable because they can't score goals. They are vulnerable to playing out of the back and having problems there, as we saw with Edouard Mendy. But when you look at Leicester, they're unbackable at this moment. They have big financial troubles, which is kind of surprising because they've been pretty stout financially for a while and have done really good business. I keep waiting for Tielemans to move, but I think that's in January. Fofana should have moved by now. Rumors about others. And then you got Jamie Vardy, who's just aging up front, who's toiling and still trying, but I just don't know that there's anything more. And I probably shouldn't even talk more about this because I don't think Leicester will come anywhere near my card, despite getting a goal and a quarter from a team that really struggles to score. Next we'll go Arsenal hosting Fulham. Arsenal, I mean, best performing team in the Premier League right now, sitting top of the table. Can't argue what they've done so far. Arsenal giving a goal and a half with all the juice, might climb to 1 3/4. Fulham under the new manager, Marco Costa or whatever his name is. I probably should look that up, but just to make sure I get it right. But Fulham, they've been playing the brand of football they played in the championship division last year. Somehow it's worked out. And I don't know how long that's going to last. Marco Silva is their manager. I respect it because you need points and you need wins in order to stay in the league. They've done fairly well so far this season. I'm not necessarily a believer that they will keep that up all year, and they will start needing to play a little bit more intelligently, or there's a word for it that's escaping me, of course, live podcasting or videoing, of course. But Arsenal have looked great. I don't really believe that they are as strong as they've looked so far, but all you can do is win the games on your schedule. Gabriel Jesus has been so awesome that it's really hard to doubt anything about the offensive attack, because you know that he's going to have a bunch of chances and will probably convert at least one. I think Fulham will give him a lot of opportunities. They're not the defensive side that I want to sit in and try to limit Arsenal's opportunities. So I will skip that one. Wolves on Sunday, then hosting Newcastle, currently a pick'em. Not much for me to do there unless I really like a side. Newcastle have moved to the more juice side of pick'em, which I think is deserved. Wolves have no offense. I don't think their crowd can really inspire them. I hope Newcastle close a quarter goal underdog, but I don't think that's going to happen, as Wolves are a team I'm looking to go against as much as possible. Aston Villa then hosting West Ham, currently Villa a quarter goal favorite. And it's really hard to see or say why they're a favorite besides playing the match at home. I don't think that's enough for the ball to hit the back of the net just because of the location. And West Ham, you know, they've been not playing well to start the year. There's been a lot of smoke and mirrors about who they are the last few seasons, seemingly winning all the 50-50 matches. And that's kind of taking them to much greater heights in the Premier League and into European competitions. I lean to them, though, as a quarter goal underdog because I think you know what we're going to get defensively. Bringing in Tilo Kehrer was not a great start, as a ridiculous lunge, gave away a penalty to Brighton very early and kind of changed last weekend's match. I think if they could, they'd be playing Angelo Opona there or somebody else, but they also did spend the money on Kehrer. So we'll see what happens. But I still believe in the West Ham core defense, that they have enough talent there that they can do enough defensively to really stymie an Aston Villa offense that hasn't really existed so far this season. Aston Villa took an early lead off some great play, and then their offense just went in the tank last weekend at Crystal Palace. I don't believe in the Aston Villa offense, so whenever they're a favorite, I'm very interested in going against them. And last but not least, in England, Nottingham Forest, a 1 1/4 goal underdog at home to Tottenham. It's kind of funny to see Tottenham over a goal favorite. I feel like it's still an overreaction to how much business they did this summer. Hasn't really worked just yet. Finally, Perisic started last weekend, but fixtures are starting to pop up as there's a midweek round, and then also Champions League starting next week, I think, or 2 weeks from now. I think there's going to be some trouble with Tottenham balancing Perisic's legs and his abilities at his age of 33, which makes me feel very old, but whatever. Nottingham Forest, meanwhile, have done a ton of business, brought in probably someone made a comment, spent more money than Syria in the transfer market. It's possible they have. I haven't verified that, but funny nonetheless. And I really like what Nottingham Forest have shown so far. Do not like what Tottenham have shown. Nottingham Forest, they're going to play defensively. They've got a counterattacking, intelligent manager who really took them from the bottom of the table into the playoffs last year, and they ended up winning it. And I think it shows that they can play intelligent football. They're going to have a huge crowd, still only the second match of the Premier League in a very long time. If they lose by a goal, you still win half of a unit or half of what you risked. And I got to say, I'm very interested in seeing what Taiwo Awoniyi can do at this level. We still haven't seen much from Jesse Lingard just yet. He's ultimately a really talented player who has caught fire before, hasn't happened just yet. And this is a lot of my interest in this one is a play against Tottenham, who have looked really poor so far. Harry Kane is a midfield creator with a striker's number. Heung-min Son is just doesn't look the same so far to start the year. Certainly that could happen or change really quickly. But Forest are going to sit back and defend. And I feel like Tottenham need the space to counterattack and really go do things. They tried to do against Chelsea, did not really have much success in the midfield whatsoever. Not the same team in Nottingham Forest, but I do think that they're going to struggle against a sat in defense, and they're going to have to create 2 goals from that to cover the spread here. And I don't think that will happen. So I lean to Nottingham Forest plus 1.25. Certainly into West Ham getting 1/4. I think skip the Fulham match, skip Leicester, skip Leeds, skip Everton. Crystal Palace plus 2 is of interest. Bournemouth plus 2.5 is of interest, and Southampton getting 3/4 of goal are all of interest to me. I think for my best bet, I'm going to take for England, I'm going to go with Nottingham Forest plus 1.25. And that'll get you done as we move to Spain, which does have matches today on Friday. Girona hosting Celta de Vigo, currently a pick'em with same odds, -110 each way. Not a lot for me to do here. I do have interest in backing Girona, as I think they're like a most newly promoted side. They're not going to get a lot of respect coming into the league. They got to prove it, and lines will lag a little bit their abilities. But ultimately, Celta de Vigo, they are great at possessing the ball and they're great at scoring goals. And I'm not sure that Girona have enough to compete on that level. So it's going to have to be a good defensive performance from Girona to keep this tight. Next, we have Betis hosting Osasuna in the nightcap. Osasuna currently getting 3/4 of goal now on the road in the whatever the stadium is, blanking. It's really hard to recall everything on a Friday morning, apparently, for me. Real Betis are off to a great start, as are Osasuna. Both have won both of their matches. Osasuna is really fortunate to have 2 home matches. Betis has won one on the road at Mallorca, at least. And I think they started the year with a win as well at home. But Osasuna currently getting 3/4 of goal. I'm interested in them because they're a defense that I think I can trust. Their offenses, they've added some pieces this year, and that's helped their offense so far. It helped them a lot against Sevilla. I think getting 3/4 of goal is probably about right. I think if it climbed to a full goal of insurance, I would look even closer to Osasuna. Betis, they're a better offense than I think Osasuna could ever dream to be. But they still have plenty of flaws in defense. Just how much can Osasuna take advantage of that is the big question. Moving to Saturday, we have Elche hosting Real Sociedad. Elche, a 1/4 goal underdog at home. And this one's come down a little bit from, I think it was half earlier. Sociedad did a lot of business in the off-season transfer market, have built up their offense quite a bit. I think from where I sit with them, I'm still not necessarily a believer that they do have the offensive players to put it all together. But Elche have really slow defensive center backs. Their their wing backs are really important to starting their offense. So they a lot of times leave themselves, despite sitting back in a counterattacking style, a lot of times they can be pretty exposed and leave those center backs who look like they are running in molasses. And that's going to be a big problem against the speed of Real Sociedad, even though Alexander Isak looks like to have moved to the Premier League. Easy for me to say this week. I don't know that Elche getting a 1/4 at home is enough for me to play because I just don't think they can compete offensively. Real Sociedad. Rayo Vallecano then hosting Mallorca next match on Saturday. And Mallorca currently, it's hard to say what about their offense. It looks like Marici headers or set pieces or really what happened and how they scored last weekend against Betis was crossing the box for that Marici header. Rayo Vallecano currently a 1/2 goal favorite at home. All the juice on the road team, Mallorca. Not sure if this one will fall to a 1/4 again. I think it was there earlier in the week. But Rayo, they have a small pitch. They're going to play a counterattacking style, but Mallorca also want to counter. So I don't know. It feels like a stalemate in a lot of ways, which makes me lean to the underdog. I've bet Mallorca both their matches so far with mixed results. They did finally score in the second one, but didn't cover in that one, but didn't score in the opener and won that one, surprisingly. Lean to Mallorca. I just don't believe in Rayo Vallecano. And I probably won't for a lot of the season. And giving a 1/2 goal where a draw wins a full bet makes me certainly interested in Mallorca. Almeria then hosting Sevilla, currently getting a 1/4 goal at home. And Sevilla just are not the same team that we know them to be the last few seasons. Really hard to trust them or have really any interest in backing them, especially as a road favorite. Maybe they get it together, but they got a gift of an equalizer last weekend from a misplay for miscommunication from a center back and a goalkeeper from Valladolid. Almeria, these are the games they need to at least get a point from in order to stay in the league. Crowd should be nuts. Sevilla are still getting rated like a better team than I think they are based on previous seasons. They've done so much business and really so much talent is left that it's Almeria or nothing for me, and I'm very interested in the newly promoted side. Moving to Sunday, Getafe hosting Villarreal. Getafe, 1/2 goal underdog. Villarreal, they're a great offensive team. They've had to play Europa Conference League qualifiers, which has not been delightful, but kind of it is what it is. And Getafe, they're going to be a really strong defensive side, will be physical. I think that'll certainly test Villarreal's offense, playing 2 matches in a week. Good thing they had a big advantage heading into the second leg of the Conference League playoffs. I think based on what these teams want to do, Getafe are going to sit in and try to be defensive. They're going to try to spring counterattacks on Villarreal. They don't really have a lot of pace to do that. And I feel like this is a tough matchup for Villarreal coming off a midweek match. But at the same time, they do have to win it. They have to win this match in order to cover the spread. So that makes me lean to Getafe at home. I'm not sure I'm going to make a decision while I'm talking about it on this podcast. So I'll move on to the next match. And that's Barcelona hosting Valladolid. Currently Barca a 2.25 goal favorite. I'm not sure that Barcelona have looked great so far this season to deserve that type of number. Valladolid, they're a really strong defensive team that work together. They've got a lot of their same players from 2 seasons ago when they were in La Liga before going down last season, but they looked really good in La Segunda. It's a different league, of course, and you got to win points there as opposed to hold on to points when you move up to the big dogs. But from where I sit, Valladolid are of interest to me anytime as a big underdog, especially above a goal. And getting 2.25 is a lot. Barcelona certainly can score enough to cover that number, and that does make me want to probably stay away from it. But lean to Valladolid, gun to my head. Espanyol then hosting Real Madrid, the nightcap on Sunday. Espanyol currently getting a goal and a quarter at home. They've looked pretty poor, are dealing with a questionable red card, which leveled the match at 10 men apiece after Rayo Vallecano had already had a player sent off, and that kind of changed things. And they went from dominating 11v10 to really kind of struggling. Real Madrid aren't a beautiful team, really. They are going to play solid defense and they're going to take their chances. They're not going to get many, but somehow they convert them at a really high rate. And that second goal is way more likely than that first. I just don't know that I trust Espanyol just yet. I do like their new manager, but he hasn't really taken on just yet. Moving to Monday, Cadiz hosting Athletic Club. Cadiz a 1/4 goal underdog at home. I like home underdogs hosting teams that really struggle to score, but Cadiz can't. And so a clean sheet looks like you win half a bet and they'll finish goalless. I mean, it's certainly a possibility. I just don't know where Cadiz are going to get their goals from. They're like a 3rd season in La Liga, and I feel like everyone's been expecting them to get relegated each of the seasons they've played so far. This one looks like another one, as they've had a lot of players leave and they don't ever seem to be able to sign anybody. Maybe people don't want to defend the whole time, though. Ultimately, Sergio Gonzalez has been, I think, a much better offensive manager compared to the one before him. But then again, that was the lowest possession team in Europe. I like the idea of going against Athletic Club, especially on the road, especially as a favorite. I'm not sure that Cadiz is getting enough at a quarter right now. And last but not least, Valencia currently hosting Atletico Madrid. Valencia 1/2 goal underdog at home. They are still unfortunately missing Jose Luis Gaya, who got suspended for, I think, the first 4 matches of the season. He's an important piece to them. I didn't really like what I saw from them against Athletic Club on the road at San Mamés. Different situation at Mestalla, but it's not exactly the fortress it was when Valencia were in its prime maybe a decade ago. Atletico Madrid, I'm not really a believer in offensively, and defensively they've got some problems, but can Valencia really poke, prod, and cause problems for them? Hugo Duro, one of their best signings, certainly dollar for dollar, bang for your buck. He hurt himself in the last match early at Athletic Club, and I wonder if that really impaired the Valencia offense. But Atletico Madrid are a team I like to bet against, especially as a favorite, especially on the road as a favorite. So I lean to Valencia, and we'll see if they end up making my card on Monday. So to recap Spain, as we already have Nottingham Forest plus 1.25 as best bet from England. I think I'm pretty interested in Valencia getting a half on Monday. Cadiz certainly is a home underdog to a bad offense like Athletic Club. Espanyol skip. Valladolid is some interest, but sure don't want to make them a best bet. Getafe getting a half is of interest, but really need to dive into exactly how much those legs are going to affect Villarreal from a midweek match. Almeria getting a 1/4 at home is the favorite that I've mentioned so far. Mallorca getting a half for Rayo Vallecano are of interest, definitely. Elche, not so much at home. Osasuna a little bit on the road, and not much to do at a pick'em with Girona and Celta de Vigo. So for my best bet in Spain for this match day 3 for Spain, it's tough because there's so many different numbers going on across all the major leagues about who started when. I'll take Almeria getting a 1/4 goal at home as my best bet for Spain. Next, we'll move to the Italian Syria A. There are two matches today on Friday, starting with newly promoted Monza hosting Udinese. Monza, a quarter goal underdog at home, and they haven't done enough to impress me so far this season. Newly promoted side, I think, need to prove it in certain places versus other leagues. I feel like I believe in it already. There's just huge financial discrepancies in some of these leagues, bigger than others. And I think where I sit with Udinese, they haven't had a great start to the year. Some of that affected by a red card early in the first half of, or at least in the first half of the match, last match day, and then starting on the road at AC Milan in a crazy match where their defense really didn't look very good, and that's certainly a concern. So lean to Monza as a quarter goal underdog at home. Just not sure they're enough for me right there. Lazio then hosting Inter Milan. Currently Lazio a half a goal underdog, hosting the team that probably should have was the strongest team last season. Probably should have won the Scudetto, did not. And I think that will really inspire them, whether they need it, maybe they don't need it. But Lazio surprisingly had a goalless draw at Torino. I feel like they really didn't look like that much different than Torino, and that's a scary thing, especially when Inter are going to poke and prod and really test their defense a ton. I think Lazio getting half of a goal means a draw is a winner at home, and that's important. But I almost feel like I need more insurance than that. I don't know if Lazio's offense is not, if they're not flying offensively, then it's a really, really hard situation to be in, because I think we know Inter are going to score, and I think we know they'll score more than Lazio. So I'm not sure there's enough for me there at a half. Moving to Saturday, Juve hosting Roma in a big early match. Juve a quarter goal favorite at home. The odds are underdogs, so even money. So a lot of respect for Roma coming in here. I know Juve are dealing with a bunch of injuries, but Roma did a ton of business in the offseason. Have had I think a pretty easy start to the Italian campaign in Serie A, but a lot of respect here, especially if this falls to pick them. I wouldn't call those teams equal enough on a neutral to make them a pick 'em, which almost assumes that Roma is stronger based on this current price. I feel like if you're buying Roma here, you're paying a pretty high price. That's the way I lean, though, because they're the underdog, and I think they're really talented. Moving next to Cremonese hosting Torino. Currently Cremonese a quarter goal underdog at home. Torino are going to possess the ball. Juric has proven he will do that, and I think the best side for him to do that against is a recently promoted. Torino's goal scoring does seem to be a question mark for sure, and that makes it hard to back them as a, or to not want to go against them, I guess, with a home underdog. But I'm not sure there's enough for me at Cremonese just yet. AC Milan hosting Bologna, giving a goal and a half. Big number, especially Bologna. They've shown that they can be really resilient. Arnautovic is the biggest difference maker in Serie A, I think. I mean, maybe Romelu Lukaku will take that throne back, but considering he was gone for a year, I think it's Arnautovic's claim to fame right now, and I think he's really important and will test AC Milan, who I don't think are this much stronger than Bologna, but ultimately AC Milan, they showed against Udinese that they could score a bunch of goals, and that's scary if you're wanting to fade them, especially at home in San Siro. I think I lean to Bologna getting a goal and a half, but not sure that will make the card just yet. Need to make sure that Arnautovic is in the lineup at minimum. Moving to the I guess another nightcap on Saturday, Spezia hosting Sassuolo. Currently Spezia a quarter goal underdog at home. Sassuolo, they've had a lot of financial problems or difficulties, that they're not exactly the same type of squad that we expected them to be this season. They've sold a lot of players on, which is always their model. Spezia are going to be front-footed as well, and there's probably going to be a lot of goal mouth action here. Over under is 3, which seems a little bit slight, but that's probably because the finishing hasn't been great for either of these two teams just yet. Spezia were competitive against Inter Milan, but the final score didn't really look that way. I lean to them as a home underdog, but I'm not really in love with them just yet. Salernitana then hosting Sampdoria. Salernitana a quarter goal favorite at home. All the juices on Sampdoria on the road, and it's very odd for me to see Salernitana as a favorite, I gotta say. Sampdoria have really cratered. Looks like they're trying to follow their same city Derby della Lanterna rivals in Genoa that just went down this season. Scary, but ultimately I like them getting a quarter from a team that I don't know how long it's been since Salernitana were favored. Verona then hosting Atalanta. Currently Verona 3/4 goal underdog at home. Love home dogs, especially against teams that the luster has been lost from Atalanta. They've done a ton of sales. Financially, I still wonder about Gasperini and how long he will stay as manager in that post at Atalanta. I think they'd be foolish to let him go. But I'm sure he's fed up with all the sales that they've gone through. Still a pretty talented team at Atalanta, but from where I sit, I don't really think they deserve to lay 3/4 of a goal on the road at Verona. Verona really haven't gotten a lot of respect from the marketplace so far this season. Whether that's deserved, I'm not sure. I think their defense is problematic, but Kevin Lasagna is a really scary attacker up front. He doesn't convert a ton of chances, but he also hasn't really had a ton of great service or opportunity, and he's very fast, aging certainly, but still very fast, and that's something that I'm interested, especially against an Atalanta team that'll push up to try to win every match and try to score as many goals as possible for the whole time. So Verona getting 3/4 of interest. Fiorentina then hosting Napoli. Currently, Fiorentina a quarter goal underdog at home. All the juice on Napoli. Maybe this climbs to a half. I think Fiorentina questions about having to play midweek against Twente, a Dutch team in the Conference League playoffs. Certainly some leg questions. That's a big problem for a team that doesn't really sit with the Seven Sisters just right now. I feel like they're still a little bit off the pace. Whereas Napoli, a lot of hate coming towards Napoli based on the transfer window, the transfer market, and who they sold in the offseason or moved on. But a lot of those were older players, and I feel like Napoli looks just as strong as they were last season. They feel like they were a lot better on the road last year, scoring a ton of goals, which is not great for my bankroll. But lean to Fiorentina, would like them a lot more, getting a half of a goal. But we'll see what happens, and I need to gauge exactly where their legs are, and I feel like it's hard to do today until I see a lineup on Sunday. Last but not least, Lecce hosting Empoli. Currently, Empoli, actually Lecce are a home favorite. Odds keep throwing me off. So home favorite, a lot of juice on Empoli right now if you're going to take the quarter. But that's the way I'd lean. I mean, Lecce had a really good performance in the opener against Inter. Didn't come away with anything, unfortunately, due to a late bundled in goal by Denzel Dumfries. I feel like they need points like that. Can't let those slip to stay in the league. But ultimately, Empoli have never been super strong defensively. That's always a problem area for them. They can score goals, though, and that's a big problem for newly promoteds, is that they struggle to score often. And if Empoli are scoring and let's say are trying to keep up, that makes me lean to the road team in Empoli. Maybe you have to swallow a poor defense, but you get that better offensive attack. And I feel like that's the most important thing in soccer, especially against newly promoteds that aren't likely to score a bunch themselves. So going through the Italian card, we already had Nottingham Forest plus 1.25 and Almeria plus 1/4 as my picks, best bets from the other leagues. Definitely Empoli getting 1/4 of interest, Fiorentina as well, Verona getting 3/4, and also Sampdoria getting 1/4 on the road on Sunday. I mean, so I guess I like all the dogs in Italy on Sunday. Spezia is a home dogs of interest, but I'm not sure that they're enough for me. Bologna getting 1.5 goals from AC Milan is definitely on the radar, but want to make sure that Arnautovic is in the lineup. No reason to believe he wouldn't be. It's just not something I'm sure of just yet. Roma getting 1/4 seems very expensive, but that's the way I lean right now. I don't know if Lazio are enough, getting a half from Inter. And Monza as a home underdog in the opener for this weekend, starting in only a couple hours, is definitely of interest to me. I think from where I sit on this one, I'm going to go to maybe back to the well, and I'll take, oh man, hard to choose. I'll take, man, Sampdoria is really tempting, but they're so tough to trust at this point, and you don't really want to back clubs that are looking really problematic. But I'll do it anyway. I'll take Sampdoria plus 1/4 with a lot of juice right now. Maybe this will close pick 'em, so you might want to jump on this right away if you're of the persuasion of backing Sampdoria. Salernitana as a favorite just doesn't really jive to me. Next, we'll move to the German Bundesliga, and we'll start with Freiburg hosting Bochum. Currently, Freiburg a 1-goal favorite at home with all the juice. This one keeps ping-ponging back between 1 and 1.25. Bochum were a great team to back last year. I think home or away, especially home, but I think that on the road they were pretty good to me financially. The problem is they had a lot of their loanees leave the club. They didn't really bring in a lot more, and they haven't really had the money to do much. And their squad value on their club is so low compared to the rest of the Bundesliga. And it's shown out so far. The 7-0 touchdown loss to Bayern München was very, very disheartening. Probably one of those you can just shake off because it's Bayern, but ultimately they did beat them last year, and they look like pure relegation fodder at the moment. Freiburg don't have a great offense, but they can kill teams, and they have a lot of depth, and that's a big concern for Bochum as well. Not enough for me at +1, even with that full goal of insurance. I think I'm going to have to wait and see Bochum turn it around before I really look into backing them for now. Hertha Berlin on Saturday hosts Borussia Dortmund. Currently, Hertha a 3/4 goal underdog with all the juice on Dortmund. Incredible collapse last weekend from Dortmund. up 2 goals in the 89th minute and somehow lost the match 3-2 to a newly promoted side in Vertebraeman, certainly with a lot of history, but not a lot of talent in that roster right now based on the downsizing they had to do, and they went down to the Schweizer Liga. Playing against Dortmund is where I want to be. Their defense is a huge problem. I think it's improved this season, but not based on that effort. And they were pretty fortunate to beat Freiburg after really getting dominated for the whole match. And then a big goalkeeping mistake ended up switching the fortune, changing momentum, and Borussia Dortmund somehow got 3 late. So they've been the late show, one way the good way, one way the bad way recently. Probably on the points they deserve for the season, but Freiburg take the brunt of that, unfortunately. Hertha have been playing better. New manager has installed a new sort of style that's a little bit more aggressive than kind of sitting back and just hoping 90 minutes will run out and you get a point. That's important, but ultimately that puts them at a little bit of risk against the Dortmund offense, which has gotten worse without Haaland. So basically, Dortmund are a great offense that had no defense, that were a huge over team last season. Now they're without Erling Haaland. They have improved their defense, but it hasn't really shown just yet. Still taking some time, and as defense is gelling, don't do that. It doesn't really happen right away. But there is some questions about the Dortmund offense. I think if Hertha get to a full goal of insurance at home, that might be enough for me, though. I don't love backing them. I think they deserved a lot better last weekend, or excuse me, the opening day, last Friday's match day against Borussia Mönchengladbach on the road, deserved a lot better, but gave up 2 penalties, which were pretty unfortunate. And to me, I didn't really agree with. But regardless, I think Hertha, if they get +1, that'll potentially be on my card. RB Leipzig then hosts Wolfsburg, giving a goal and a quarter. Wolfsburg don't really have much offense to show for anything. Leipzig have not gotten off to a great start this year, to say the least, but Domenico Tedesco, I think we trust him enough based on how he turned around the team last season, and they're trying to figure out exactly how to work in Timo Werner. Andre Silva probably is livid right now for how little he's playing and probably wants to move, but we'll see if that ends up happening. I think when you look at this matchup, if you're backing Wolfsburg, you're expecting them you're probably not expecting them to score more than a goal, and maybe even get that one is going to be tough. Leipzig are going to, they really kind of thrown caution to the wind, and they're trying to stack those 3 points, which is maybe what they need to do in order to perform the best they can and chase a Meisterschale. But I mean, Bayern just look like they're never going to lose to anybody or drop points against anybody, to be more specific. So if you're backing Wolfsburg, you're going to hope that they keep the Leipzig offense quiet. And I feel like Leipzig at home score a lot more than they do on the road. Wolfsburg are not likely to score, and that second goal when Wolfsburg are pushing forward towards the end seems almost guaranteed. So you're probably going to need Wolfsburg to score to cover this spread, and I just don't know that I can trust them to do it. Mainz in hosting Leverkusen. Mainz was a ridiculous win at the end of last weekend's in stoppage time. Blame Augsburg for not being no heads on a swivel, complaining to the referee about a corner kick, but the ball was rolling, should have been invalidated, and just ridiculous. But missed a penalty, so I guess maybe they deserve a little bit more from the XG advantage. But Leverkusen have looked terrible, and as a road favorite, it's really backing them as a Champions League team, and their form from last year, because they have not shown anything this year besides a really poor offense, and they've never been a good defense because their style is to give up defense for offense. I'm hoping Mainz climb to a quarter goal underdog. I'll even probably pay a lot of juice for it, as Mainz at home are a much different squad. They've struggled on the road. Maybe that win at the death last weekend will help them with confidence. And they're going to be tougher than Leverkusen, because we know they are. So I'm very interested in Mainz, especially if it climbs to a quarter. Schalke then hosting Union Berlin, currently a home underdog of a quarter. Union Berlin, just like, it's amazing. Rinse, wash, repeat. Lose all your players. Rinse, wash, repeat. Still a dominant home team. They are a little bit more vulnerable on the road, especially as a favorite, because they don't really play. They want to play a counterattacking style, though Schalke want to as well. And I think that'll give initiative to Union, which kind of plays in Union's hands. I feel like if you want to be an aggressor, Union will let you be, which certainly might be when they're at their best. But I feel like that's the best chance for Schalke to get points. I'm not sure their new manager, Frank Kramer, will do that, as he's been pretty defensive in his time at Arminia Bielefeld. I think that's why they brought him in, to be a point stealer, try to get at 1 point as much as he can, which he's done a pretty good job of so far. And I think from where I sit with Union, they're a team I don't really want to go against. They're a team I want to back every weekend, not so much as a road favorite, because I don't think their style correlates pretty well to that. But regardless, Schalke is of interest to me as a home underdog, but with a lot of juice right now at 1 quarter. Hopefully it falls to pick them and I can look away. I guess I do like it because I do question Union's offense a little bit, but Jordan Siebatcheu has been awesome to start the year. Hoffenheim then hosting Augsburg. Currently, Hoffenheim giving a goal and a quarter. Their offense is firing right now. It looks good. They've done a lot of business. Angelino, I think, was a great signing. While they did lose David Raum, I think financially it was a good move for them. They needed the money because everyone does, but Raum was going to leave anyway, and they brought in Angelino as like a trade almost, and he's an awesome creator, and I think is very important to their offense. Augsburg played well against Leverkusen, but that might have been the okie doke because Leverkusen have looked so bad so far. Just hilarious, calamitous performance by Augsburg at the end of last match against Mainz, but try to let that not affect me anymore. But getting more than a goal on the road does seem like a lot. The problem is Hoffenheim can probably name their number. Augsburg are not likely to score, and that's going to be too hard to really trust. Bayern München then hosting Mönchengladbach in the nightcap on Saturday. Bayern a 2.25 goal favorite, which is a monstrous number. But Gladbach don't look like they have solved their ills. They've done a little bit of moving players on and retaining players, signing those to contracts to stick around with the team, like Alassane Plea, and that's important. We'll see if they can keep Marcus Thuram. I feel like it might be dependent on how the team does and if he wants to stay, because I'm sure he wants to play more European football and has the talent to do it. I think fading Bayern at home, even on this monstrous number above 2, just seems like too difficult of business to do. And I like easy business. Moving to Sunday, Cologne hosting Stuttgart, currently Cologne, a quarter goal favorite. They had to fight through Conference League playoffs midweek. So question about their legs, question about really how they're going to score goals without Anthony Modeste. I think they're going to get the talent. Excuse me, I'm not sure the talents are. They're going to get the fight from them. Stuttgart are more talented this year. Kalajic, the more that he's healthy and available, is going to be really important to their offense. That's the way I lean getting a quarter of a goal. Not a lot of respect for Cologne at home ultimately, but I think if they move to a half a goal favorite, I'll be looking even harder at Stuttgart at a quarter. It's certainly a lean right now, but I'm not sure I feel that strongly about it. And last but not least, Vertebraeman hosting Eintracht Frankfort. Currently, Vertebraeman a pick'em, but with most of the juice right now, and that's based on Frankfurt's really poor start to the season. They're struggling to score goals. Their defense doesn't seem to be playing as well. They previously were a really good defensive side and lost Martin Hinteregger, who was an important personality for their team, I guess, but ultimately wasn't playing really well for the second half of last year, and it's a miraculous type of result that they won Champions League having to play him at all. It's certainly buying Vertebraeman at a premium. The late show, getting the equalizer, the crazy one against Stuttgart, which shouldn't have been allowed, and then that huge comeback against Dortmund. There's probably good for confidence. You can never believe a match is over based on that. But certainly not interested in backing them as a pick 'em, because I don't think their offense really exists. So in terms of best bets, we already went Nottingham Forest, we went Almeria, and we also did Sampdoria, which makes me more nervous every time I say it. Now for the best bet for the German Bundesliga. Nothing to do on the Frankfurt match. Interested in Stuttgart on the road, but would love to get a half of a goal. Lean to Gladbach getting more than 2 goals, but that sounds like a really tough watch. Augsburg will not make the card this weekend. Schalke are close, but probably won't make it. Mainz, if they were a quarter, would probably be my pick from Germany, but they're not there yet. So I'm not going to grab that one. Wolfsburg I don't really want on the road at Leipzig, even though they're getting more than a goal. Hertha Berlin getting 3 quarters right now is of big interest to me at home against Dortmund. I'm going to hope that it gets to 1, and that probably is a big number for me, or if it gets to 1, I'll play it. If it stays 3 quarters, I might just let it go. Bochum not worth it for me on Friday, so I think I have to cycle back, and I'll go with Stuttgart and use that leg advantage. Hopefully it climbs to half of a goal, but currently at the quarter, even money, I think is what my pick will be as a best bet for Germany. And last but not least, we'll go to French Ligue 1 and then stick around for the ultimate best bet end of show. Don't have any promo codes to give. I guess if you want to use header 20 on pregame.com, that will get you 20% off. So might as well go through that. Probably should have said that right before the ultimate best bet, but whatever, in case you're fast forwarding through the end. Just giving gifts everywhere I go. In France today, we have Ajaccio hosting Lille. Currently Ajaccio a quarter goal underdog at home. Lille got smashed by PSG, but Ajaccio have not really shown that they can score goals, nor that they're really of the level of Ligue 1 at this point, which is actually higher than most people say when they call it a farmers league. Not sure that Ajaccio are enough for me at the moment. Auxerre then hosting Strasbourg, getting a quarter of a goal at home. Lean to the home dog. Strasbourg's certainly got a three-headed monster offensively, but I'm not sure that they've looked that efficient. And I'm not really sure they're that great. The problem is Auxerre, as a recently promoted, I mean, sometimes they're just going to really struggle with three really good strikers. So it might not be enough for me at a quarter just yet, but the juice certainly points to climbing to a half. Lens then hosting Rennes. Currently, Lens a pick 'em with all the juice right now, moving towards a quarter goal favorite. Great performance at Monaco, something that Rennes should have done, but couldn't hold on thanks to a really young keeper who just, I mean, really young keepers make really young keeper mistakes. But not a lot for me to do at Pick'em. If Rennes climb back to a quarter goal underdog, I'm definitely interested, but I'm not sure where to sit with them right now at Pick'em. So I'll move on to Sunday. We have Nantes hosting Toulouse. Currently not a quarter goal favorite. Toulouse have played really well to start the year. Nantes offense has really been non-existent, non-existent, if you will. Haha. Toulouse have looked really good as a really recently promoted side. Won League 2 last season, and I feel like they're a good bet for this one. So I like that quarter, even though it has a lot of juice at the moment, or all of it. Brest then hosted Montpellier. Currently, Brest a half a goal favorite, and that's a monster number for Brest to lay. Montpellier certainly didn't look great so far this season, and looked awful. We're the worst team in Liga towards the second half of last year. They still have a lot of talent though, and it's hard for me to want to look away from getting a half of a goal because I feel like buying low on them last season was fairly profitable. Though they did have a really tough second half of the year. Brest is a half a goal favorite. I mean, they're a decent team that really want to play defensively. I don't know where a half a goal comes from, so that makes me lean Montpellier. Lorient then hosting Clermont Foot. Currently, Lorient a half a goal favorite. All the juice on Clermont. Lorient want to defend, and I don't think that they're going to change their strategy. And as a half a goal favorite, sitting back and trying to counter doesn't really fit their style strategy and that spread. So Clermont certainly have sold a lot and have lost a lot of players, but fought back from a really tough position against Reims a couple weekends ago, and I feel like they have a fight in them. They have a desire. They want to play on the front foot. I think they will have more chances. Whether to convert them is a big question, but that half a goal in my back pocket is a very nice number. Nice then hosting Marseille. Has moved from Nice as a more favored, or I guess worse odds, higher juice, I'll put it that way, at Pick'em, to now Marseille is taking that flag, carrying it with them, and I think Marseille deserve it. They're a much better side. On the road at Nice in a big rivalry game is going to be a big tough environment for Marseille on the road. I'm interested to see if Nice climb to a quarter goal underdog, because I think that'll be the minimum for me to get interested. Next, we'll move Troyes hosting Angers. Troyes Pick'em with all the juice right now, even spilling into plus 103 right now on Pick'em for Angers. Troyes looked really poor. They got an extra day's rest, or maybe two, because they played the opening match last weekend on Friday against Lyon. But they've looked pretty bad this year. They really survived last year on being a really good offense, and that's a big problem. Angers, they've lost a lot of players, look like they're in dire financial straits and have a bad goalkeeper, but from where they sit, I like them. And if they move to a quarter goal underdog, I'll be very interested on Sunday. Reims then hosting Lyon. Currently, Reims a 3/4 goal underdog at home. The Champagne region team looks a little different than last year. Certainly sold on some players, including their goalkeeper, Rakovic, who's been awesome and really kept Mallorca alive in that first matchup against Athletic Club. And I feel like speaks to the new guy not really being the same level. Reims have a lot of the same players, but haven't really had the same output so far. I do like them at home from playing Lyon, but I gotta hope that they get to a full goal. I think Lyon, we know they can score. Reims, we don't know they can. I don't think Reims defense is at the same quality that it was without Rakovic, and really just maybe second year players getting older. They've got an older defense, and that's been problematic. The Abdelhamid and Wout Faes, it just doesn't seem to be clicking as for the clean sheets like it was end of last year when they were a cash cow. But we'll see if they get to one, because that'll be a big price point change for me. And last but not least, PSG hosting Monaco. PSG giving 2.25 goals. I mean, monstrous number for PSG to lay. A team that finished in a Champions League position last year, though it was a Champions League playoffs. And for a second straight season, Monaco crashed out in the playoff stages this season, even earlier than last, though, as this was a playoff round to get into the finals of the playoffs. So very disappointing for Monaco, especially for how much money they spend their quad. And they keep taking red cards. Discipline seems to be really questionable, or that I think that reflects a bad attitude and disappointment in how the season's gone so far. And they keep giving away, I mean, pretty big favorites the last two weekends against Rennes and also against Lens at home, and look like the inferior side to both of them. I don't really I'm not surprised by this number being, I mean, I'm surprised it's this big at 2.25, but based on how the team's gone and how they played so far, it's certainly deserved. And PSG are a really good side, so they can name their price and name their on the goals they want to score. So I don't have really any interest in trying to hope that Monaco hang around, because they're going to try to really play on the front foot, I would expect, and try to establish themselves in the league this season. And I don't think that's a good team to try it against in PSG. Monaco just seemed like a team I want to bet against. I just hope they're going to be favored against a lower team next weekend. So going through best bets, we have, and I'll just go through France right now, and then I'll summarize them and give an ultimate best bet. Don't have anything to plug today, so just hang with me and I'll get there. Monaco, we skip. Reims, if they get to 1, I'm interested. Angers, if they get to a quarter, interested. Nice, if they get to a quarter, I'm interested. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of not in the price range right now. Clermont Foot getting a half of a goal from Lorient is of interest for sure, as is Montpellier getting a half. Though I need to do a little bit more research and to see why Montpellier are getting graded like this or rated like this in the marketplace. Usually markets, efficient market hypothesis, you don't want to go against it too much, but there are some mistakes, and I feel like French league sometimes the market lags a little bit farther than it should. Toulouse getting a quarter from Nantes is very interesting, especially because Nantes can't score. Rennes, if they move to a quarter, I'll be more interested. Alger at a quarter of interest, I'm interested now, but at half, I'll be much more interested. And Ajaccio, I just don't think are enough to go against Lille. So I will take, for my best bet, I'll take Clermont Foot getting a half of a goal from Lorient. I think the setup of this match is great for a front-footed attacking team visiting a counter-attacking conservative squad, which probably won't get a lot out of their home fans in that type of situation. And the whistles will start once they realize that they're getting dominated in possession. I could be wrong on how that match will go, but I think that's how I see it from right now. And with that half of a goal in my back pocket, I feel like there's going to be a lot more chance for Clermont to score. So that will be my best bet for France. So now we get to the ultimate best bet of the show. I'll summarize. We have Clermont Foot, 1.5 goal underdog in France. In Germany, we took Stuttgart getting a quarter of a goal. In Italy, we took Sampdoria getting a quarter of a goal. In Spain, we took Almeria getting a quarter goal at home in this case. And then in England, we took Nottingham Forest getting 1.25 from Spurs. And when I put that all together, as much as I really do want to go against Sevilla getting a quarter goal at home on a newly promoted side like Almeria, I do feel like there's enough of a talent gap there that I'm going to stick with the same best bet I gave away on the pregame.com show with Mackenzie Rivers. I'm going to take Nottingham Forest plus 1.25 at home against the Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. I just feel like from where I sit right now, I have a good feel for Nottingham Forest. I think they're going to make it really tough on Spurs, and I haven't really been impressed by Spurs so far this season. And that'll do 53 minutes of betting the pitch. I'm your host, the real_G Warner. Feel free to throw any questions you got on Twitter or in the comments in Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, on StreamYard, wherever you're getting this, thank you. Subscribe, hit 5 stars, leave a comment. I'll try to look over those a little bit better than I have so far. But thanks for all the support. You're pushing me onto a bunch of new platforms, and I really appreciate it. And I hope that this is enjoyable. Any tips, questions, ideas for naming segments, sponsorships, whatever you got. If you want me to throw your business in here, feel free. We can talk about it. DMs are always open, and I look forward to it. And we'll probably talk to you early next week, as we got a lot of matches coming midweek.